Well, hey guys, welcome to the range. And this is an at the range video. I haven't done an at the range in a little while. The idea behind an at the range video is that it's a much shorter video, easier for you to watch and digest, still have time to get to the dinner table. And, it's a little easier for me, quite honestly, to put more of these types of videos out because it's not as big a production. And I thought a good one to bring to the range would be this Taurus GX4 that has been just about exactly a year, give or take, since I first reviewed this gun. And I haven't really done much with it since. It's kind of sat a lot. And I think going back and visiting that review a little bit, the problem I had with the gun was that I didn't think the trigger was up to the hype that it was getting. And it was, man. It was, everybody in the industry was just like, oh, the trigger. And that wasn't my experience. It wasn't my experience at the range, and it wasn't my experience with the trigger pull gauge. So I call them like I see them. And a lot of people didn't like that. They don't want to hear my opinion. They want to hear their opinion coming from my mouth. You know how that goes. Well, in all fairness, again, it has been just about a year since I looked at this gun. And I try not to be a trigger diva. I also try not to be overly forgiving of a trigger that I think could be better. So I thought, you know what? I need to refresh my memory and find out why I felt that way about this gun. I thought you might want to come along. And who knows? I might have a completely different experience today, and I might have a completely different opinion at the end of the day, or not. There are a lot of things to like about this gun, not the least of which is just its size, right? 10 round micro compact. It has nice sights, and if I remember correctly, and from what I'm seeing here, it's a little shooter. It puts them where you want them. And I guess depending on your trigger control preferences, it may or may not be, either hard or soft. So I don't remember when I first shot the gun what sort of trigger press I was using. I tend to try and use the middle pad of my trigger finger. I think that's going to give me the best feel on the trigger and also give me respectable leverage, right? I try not to use the very edge tip of my finger. We're not doing precision rifle here. This is a small handgun with a trigger made for self-defense carry. At the same time, I try not to wrap my finger too deep into the trigger because I think it does, at that point, you do start to pull the gun. But today, I'm going to go, goodness, today I'm hoping my voice will change. Today I'm going to go a little deeper into the trigger, maybe go to that first joint. And I think that might give me a little more leverage on the trigger. But again, I want to remember what I felt about it before. I think I'm hitting it, it's just not flipping, which happens sometimes. There we go. Yeah, I can't complain about the accuracy of this gun. I can't complain about my ability to shoot it pretty well. And right now, the trigger doesn't feel bad, but I am going to tell you, it absolutely does not feel light and crisp. Those are two words I would not use to describe this trigger. But it's not awful. Let's load those magazines up and go some more. Okay, mags are reloaded. They hold 10 each, and again, that is the field that this gun plays in. It is a 10 round plus one in the chamber, of course. Very, very small handgun. And the ergonomics of it are very nice. It was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I know you will, but I think this was the first pistol that Taurus released after the TX22, which I think had fantastic ergonomics and was such fun to shoot and such a pleasure to hold. I think this was the first handgun that went into production to sort of follow that trend in design from Taurus, and very well done, very well done. It's got, you know, the shape of the grip, even though it's tiny in comparison, especially to the TX22, which is kind of a full-size gun. It's got those same ergonomics. It feels similar in the hand. Good texture on the grip. You know, there's not much not to like about it. All the controls work, and there's not many. There's the takedown is requires like a, you know, screwdriver or a, you know, 9mm case. Use the case head, whatever, to turn that cam pin and do the takedown. But the only other control really is, you know, the magazine release, which works just fine and is very well placed, and the slide control for locking and unlocking the slide, which works as a slide release, which is important to me. Your mileage may vary. The sights are good. This one just has the rear blackout sight that's serrated and anti-glare with a single white dot out front, and that works just fine for me. Again, my big complaint when this gun was brand new was just everybody was just talking about the trigger like, you know, like it was a match grade 1911, and it's not. On its best day, it's not, I promise you. But it's not bad. It's got a nice reset, very short reset. Not a lot of take up, just a tiny bit. And I think the secret is get your finger a little deeper into it. If you go to that first joint, where you've got a lot of leverage, then you're going to maximize. The other part of the trigger is the trigger safety, which is, you know, that sort of center trigger safety. I can feel it when I shoot, and I don't like to feel those when I shoot. But that doesn't mean this is the only one. Every Glock ever made, I can feel it when I shoot. A lot of other guns, I feel it when I shoot, but there are some that I don't, and I try to always comment about that because that's a big plus to me. But I can really feel this one when I'm shooting, and it feels slightly irritating, even though it's pretty wide. You wouldn't think it would be, but it does seem to be slightly irritating. And now I can't shoot. And I don't think I can blame it on the gun. I just need bigger targets, that's all. Speaking of targets, those are TA targets downrange. All of those steel targets from my good friends at TA Targets. Look down below, there is a discount code. I might even put it on the screen if I'm feeling particularly generous. No money comes back to the channel, but they did provide those targets to me. So you need to know that. But you can save 10%, which is significant on steel targets, and they are fantastic. So go check them out. Okay, real quick again, I just want to do trigger pull measurement. Show you what I'm getting on the Lyman digital gauge. There's 7 pounds even. And I've found that it's usually a little higher than that. Maybe it's wearing in. 6 pounds, 14 ounces. That's not bad. Now I'm doing it, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to pull really at the bottom of the trigger shoe, which is going to give you a lower number. leverage and all that. So 6 pounds, 12.5 ounces. So we're at the just under 7 pounds mark, pretty consistently there. Now, if I go higher on the trigger, like right about the middle, you can see where I've got the gauge. That's right about where I would put my finger. And it jumps up to 7 pounds, 5 ounces. So when I say that it's not the best trigger in the world, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I feel. It just feels very heavy. It's a hard, heavy trigger break. And, you know, it needs to be about at least 2 pounds lighter than that. Even for a carry gun, it should be about 2 pounds lighter than that. But everything else about the gun is pretty fantastic. So, you know, it's just that trigger. And maybe it's just this particular copy of the gun. That happens. Now, if you have your Taurus GX4 and you want to make a really cool improvement to it and maybe separate it from the crowd a little bit, check this out. My friends at Lock Grips have a solid brass backstrap. Goes on just as easy as any of the polymer ones, and, you know, take out one pin, put it in, put that pin back, and you're done. And it is solid brass, and it not only looks pretty interesting and cool, but it also completely changes the feel of the gun, way more than I would have thought, you know. But there's some weight in that brass, and it just gives it a wonderful balance that it never had before. I feel like I could balance it on the trigger guard, and it would just hover there perfectly. So it's a very interesting feel. It is shaped exactly the same as the other. The texture is incredible, very, very grabby. But the thing about it is the balance. So even if you didn't like the bling, in fact, you probably could even get them to finish it in a color for you. Even make it black if you wanted it black. But I don't know, kind of a cool look, right? But it's really the balance that, to me, is the big difference. I would have never thought that such a small thing would make such a big difference in the feel of this gun, but it is pretty incredible. Awesome. So remember, when you go to Lock Grips to get whatever you're going to get, because they have so many things, whether it's an amazing backstrap like this for your handgun, or a mag well, or base plates, or fantastic G10 grips that is really their bread and butter, anything you're going to get there, make sure you use the Just an Opinion discount code, because that's going to save you 10%. That is an affiliate code. So a little bit of money does come back and help the channel, help me make content. So I appreciate it, they appreciate it, and when you get your stuff in the mail, you're going to appreciate it.